What is going on? Welcome to ednews.com. It's your host, EJ Carrion, and it's an exciting Ed News video today as we're going to talk about Hispanic Serving Institutions. And we have the privilege of having Dr. Cyndia Muñiz, Director of HSI Culture and Partnerships at UCF. She provides the strategic leadership and development and execution of UCS Hispanic Serving Institutional goals and policy, and really has been a partner in getting Latino students and the funding needed to design minority-serving programs and services so that students can thrive at UCF. Cyndia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Happy to be here.
Yes, we're happy to have you. So can you just start by telling us what is an HSI and how does a institution become one?
Sure. So Hispanic Serving Institutions are colleges and universities that are federally recognized as institutions that have a 25% FTE undergraduate enrollment of Hispanic Latino students. They also have a threshold in place as far as Pell eligibility for all of our students enrolled. And then they look at university expenditures. And so these three criteria here is what the U.S. Department of Education determines or uses, right, to determine the colleges and universities that are eligible to be federally recognized or designated as HSI or Hispanic Serving Institutions.
What are the benefits to being an HSI for schools that do hit those criteria?
So definitely when it comes to funding, right? Funding is first and foremost. We need federal support, right? We need, funding support to be able to scale the work that is being done at our respective institutions. So there are additional funding opportunities at the federal level and even some in the private sector as well that are dedicated to the support of the success of Hispanic and other minority serving institutions.
Yeah. So can you kind of give me what does your role and even team, what does that look like at a university and the projects you guys are working on to service students?
Sure, absolutely. So with my role, if it's okay, I'll start with my. So I work in my role as Director of HSI Culture and Partnerships. I work very closely with our senior leadership to determine what are our HSI goals year to year, how that plays out in our various, on our day-to-day across divisions, across academic colleges. So basically, what does it mean for us at UCF to be a Hispanic serving institution? What does it mean for student success in the programs, the services, initiatives for students, right? Whether it's for recruitment, retention, progression, graduation, and then post-grad, and making sure that they're prepared for that, whatever the next level is for them, graduate school, their careers of choice, et cetera. What does it look like from a faculty standpoint? How do we provide our faculty with the tools necessary to be culturally responsive and equity-minded in the classroom, right? And making sure that we are meeting students where they are as far as what I like to say, Latino ways of knowing and Latino ways of thinking, you know? And then another aspect of it is research, right? And so how do we produce knowledge? How do we produce more information on Hispanic serving institutions, on high impact practices that work, just research abroad when it comes to having more of a focus on Hispanic Latinx populations, experiences, et cetera. What does it mean for our community, right? We're a public university. We serve our local service area, the state of Florida. What does it mean for how we partner and serve our exterior community, right? Because everyone looks to us as the leader. We like to refer to ourselves as Orlando's hometown university. How do we step up and help our community in various ways? So my role is all encompassing of that. Every day looks a little bit different, but I ensure that I go out and, well, let me back up a sec. I also work with our national partners, right, who have an interest in Latino student success or a general interest in minority serving institutions and their success. And so I identify opportunities, I bring them back home and make sure that I align our faculty, staff, and students with those opportunities so that we can, all be successful and take it to the next level.
Yeah, and so when you say kind of national partners, that can be companies who are looking to identify and recruit Hispanic students.
Yes, absolutely. So absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
So national partners, a lot of the national partners that we have currently in place, you may be familiar with the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities, also known as HACU, right? And so they lobby on behalf of HSIs at the federal level to increase, right, federal funding opportunities for HSIs. They also partner with federal agencies to create, partnerships and programs for students. One example being Growing with Google. That's an opportunity that we recently learned about and were recently invited to participate in, to kind of, help our Latino students with digital skills and opportunities in that field, that career field. Excelencia in Education is another national partner of ours. We recently joined a program on leveraging big data to achieve equity, and that's in collaboration with the United Negro College Fund and the Coleridge Initiative, in looking at how we can strengthen HSIs and HBCUs working together to produce knowledge, and how we can support our Black and Brown populations from college to career, and so on and so forth. I mean, there are several. We work with the Center for Minority Serving Institutions as well. And I hope I don't, anyway, I'll stop there because I'll forget somebody and I'll feel very bad about that. But we have lots of, we look at the national level, we're plugged in at the national level to make sure that whatever opportunities are out there, that we present them to our faculty, staff, and students here.
Yeah. So what do you see with everything we kind of been through in the last 2 years, from lower enrollment to universities to a lower FAFSA completion of universities, but then at the same time, your graduates are coming into a time where, there's jobs, people are desperate for new professionals. I would like to know, what are some of the main priorities or challenges that you guys are trying to tackle today, that are top for students or for institutions like UCF?
Okay. So, and with regards, I may need you to repeat that one more time for me.
Yeah. No. So I want to know the idea of, like, what are some top challenges today that you're hearing from your students and from your leaders at your institution that you guys are trying to tackle today?
Sure. Okay, so top challenges for our students, and looking at and speaking about our Latinx student population, many of these many of these challenges will overlap, right? Because we always have to take into consideration the intersectionality, right, across overlapping experiences, overlapping identities, right? What we have seen with our Latinx students, or what we've learned in speaking with them and surveys and whatnot, is that, family responsibility continues to be a challenge, as far as their expected role, right? And speaking generally, this is not the case for all Latino peoples, right? But speaking generally, that the family is critical, right? And the responsibility to the family continues to be a factor that cannot be omitted. But I don't want that to be solely highlighted as a challenge, because familia also serves as a source of strength for our Latinx students, and many times often motivates them, right, to achieve their goals and do what they want to do in college and their careers, because they want to make the family proud. And so it does help them, right, kind of progress through their studies. So, but that responsibility in the day-to-day can sometimes be challenging. Transportation sometimes is an issue. I mean, that's something that as far as, location and helping, like, we're in Orlando, many of our students are like in the Kissimmee area, which is maybe about an hour away south of Orlando. And sometimes there are challenges there, right? As far as maybe they can get to class, but can they participate in other extracurricular activities, right? In other clubs and other practices that may enhance that academic experience. But transportation is an issue. I mean, working, right? When we look at the data, we know that our students, our Latinx and other underrepresented minoritized students are often working more hours. So they're working 20, 30, close to 40 hours a week in addition to a full load. And so, that's time that is taken away from studies. I know why they're doing it, right? I get it. They've done that. I totally understand. But that can also present a challenge. So those are some of the things that come to mind.
Yeah. Something that I would love to know, what is kind of the breakdown by gender with your student enrollment of Latinx students. I saw recent data around, we're currently on a rate where we're getting to a pace where for every one male who graduates college, 2 women are graduating college. And it kind of continued about how 70% of valedictorians are female. I was wondering about is there gender disparities in Hispanic students enrolling into UCF, or is it pretty equal?
Unfortunately, I don't have it in front of me. I can't speak to that, but what I can tell you is that, we do have conversations about the importance of engaging our males of color. So primarily being Latino and our Black males, ensuring that they're plugged into those services and they're graduating at the same rate as the overall population. And we do have a program called Brother to Brother that has a focus on male student success and underrepresented males, right? I mean, any male can participate, but has a focus on underrepresented males. And so, and that's out of our Office of Multicultural Academic and Support Services.
Got it. Well, Dr. Muñiz, thank you for, jumping onto Ed News and kind of giving us a breakdown of how HSIs operate, but then support Hispanic students. I would love to kind of ask one last question of what is something that you're proud of from the work you have accomplished at UCF?
Thank you for that question. I really appreciate that question because, I have to say that, we first started having conversations at UCF about becoming an HSI through enrollment, right? Becoming an HSI back in 2015. And in 2019 is when I assumed this role. I am the inaugural HSI Director.
Yes.
UCF. And so I'm very proud of the fact to serve. I hope that I'm not the last, right? I'm happy to serve in this because it's just it's very much aligned with my personal mission to uplift and empower the Latino, Latinx community. And so what I'm proud of is the fact that we at UCF there is truly a commitment, right, to being Hispanic serving. And I'm going to emphasize, highlight, underline,
bold.
Serving, bold, serving, because there are currently, right, the last list, there are currently 569 HSIs in the country. These are the institutions that meet the criteria, that meet the percentage points, the thresholds, right? They meet the criteria. But not every institution, right, takes that to heart. Right. Every institution, every college and university takes a different approach at what it means to be an HSI and embracing this HSI identity. We embrace our HSI identity. We recognize it as an asset. We're very proud and very vocal about our being an HSI. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud. I've led this work, but I can't do this alone. And so I'm grateful to the leadership, to all the supporters who have, asked questions and done their part to amplify the work and do more. And so what I'm proud of is we recently were selected, or I should say certified, right, with the Seal of Excelencia. And so this is a national certification that recognizes colleges and universities for intentionally serving Latino students through a framework that is data, practice, and leadership. And so we're one of 24 colleges and universities in the country that were certified with the Seal of Excelencia. And it was a robust application process. Let me just share very quickly of time. Okay, we were asked to provide 5 years of data in 6 areas of focus, being enrollment, retention, completion, transfer, financial support, and representation. And then we were also asked to add 3 evidence-based practices to each one of those areas. And we had to articulate our leadership strategy and what brought all of that together. Okay, so it was a robust application process, but I can point to specific examples in each one of those areas and how we're wanting to be intentional and not just utilizing the HSI title for funding purposes. The funding is great, right? The additional opportunities are necessary to enhance the work that we're doing, but we know that it goes beyond the numbers, right? It's about the experience. And so at UCF, we are wanting to do the very best that we can to be truly Hispanic serving and ultimately Hispanic thriving.
Yeah, love it. Well, Dr. Muñiz, thank you so much for being on Ed News, and look forward to hearing updates and continue to stay in touch as you continue to thrive on your purpose and mission at UCF.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you, EJ Carrion. I appreciate the opportunity. Take care. Gracias.